thanks, Sergio. I mean, what you said was exactly how we at USA Basketball pretty much uh, want the game to be taught, how we want the game to be taught. Um, I'm just going to throw out a lot of different things here from our standpoint, but um, I always, from my personal thing, I think basketball is um, way overcoached and undertaught. I
Mhm.
think I said that last time I was on, but I think coaches tend to just try to overcoach the game. We try to, I know a lot of young coaches, and I did this as a young coach as well. We try to control everything on the court. We try to control where the players are going to go, or try to control and not give them the freedom to figure things out on the court themselves. And so I think that's a saying I always go back to is that I think coaches need to be careful that they're not over coaching and under teaching the game. So how do we get to that point? Well, in your slide, I'm not going to cover a lot of things you already said because you said it very well and had some great slides on that. But obviously we have. I'm going to try and share this screen here. We have four different levels that USA Basketball uh, teaches, and I think I said this last time, but I'm just quickly going to go through how our four different levels really help us out as far as what we teach. First of all, the introductory level is just the basic 7, 8, 9 year olds. We try and not put them in an age group because, like you said, different kids have different skills, not necessarily based on age. It's based on how much they have played the game of basketball and how much they've been taught and how much they've worked on it. So introductory is just they're learning how to play the game. We call this the community game effect, where hey, kids are just maybe a dad's teaching them, hey, let's do some dribbling, let's do some shooting type of stuff. So this is really all skill work as far as when you're coaching basic 5, 6, 7 year old kids who really maybe don't know much about the game of basketball. And then we find out all across our country, we find out, the kids that kind of want more. In other words, they're getting a little better at it. They like the community type of effect, but now they're into the foundational, which is more, all right, they're going to play for a team. It's a little more talented. They want to play for a team that gives them a little more basketball teaching. They want a little higher level of basketball. And this is usually around 11, 12, 13, 14 years old is where we get the foundational level. And we find out that the foundational level then is where we start to teach actually the concepts of the game of basketball. Like you said very well, the offense, the defensive transition, the offensive transition. And then, of course, the advanced would be more 16, 17, 15, 16, 17 age group. And then our performance is our college players and our USA Basketball U16 elite players. So based on our four levels, we feel very strongly that as we progress in those levels, we want the skill level to remain, but also now we're really doing a great job of teaching just how to play the game. And so it gets a little more difficult as, I shouldn't say difficult, but it gets a little more intense as a coach because we have to let go of some of the things that we've always thought was really important. In other words, for an advanced player, spending an hour and 20 minutes to an hour and a half in practice all on skills is really not accomplishing what we want to accomplish as a coach. We want to put those skills into action. I will say this from our standpoint too. I think our kids, we play a lot of international basketball, obviously, in FIBA. And one of the things how our kids learn to play the game is on the playgrounds. We have a lot of playgrounds. We have a lot of parks where they go and play. Hey, let's get a game going, a 4-on-4 or 5-on-5, 3-on-3 work. And they just learn, they figure things out about spacing. They figure things out about how to move without the basketball. And so rather than having to be coached all the time, I think this is really probably been a mainstay of really developing our players in the United States is really playing on the playgrounds. And we find out now that's not quite as much as it used to be 10, 15 years ago. We used to go to New York and West 4th Street. Some of you people have been to New York, you go to Rucker Park or West 4th Street. That's where games were really being held. Not so much anymore. So we're kind of getting away from that as well. So as opposed to having the structure of the skills and then putting that into play. We have the 8 skills we talked about last time. 4 of those you mentioned, Sergio. We've added screening to ours, rebounding, and the whole offense and whole defense. So we think these 8 skills are really important to teach the game of basketball. But like we're talking about here, when do you implement those into your practice sessions? Well, if you're teaching 12, 13, 14-year-olds, and older, you want to make sure that their skills are to the level that they can accomplish what they need to accomplish. In other words, let me pull another screen up here, and am I sharing this, Sergio? Okay. So what we think is really, really important is that we will start out. We do a lot of 3-on-0, 3-on-3 work in practice at all levels. And what we do, what we do is we try to teach them, this is the action that we're playing with. And now how do we impose this action? How do we progress with this action? How do we make the players understand that this action is what we're looking for, but the concept is still there depending on what the defense does. So I'll just take the first one. This is just a baseline drift, baseline drive. So we set up in 3-on-0 work, very much like we talked about earlier. We're teaching a concept. So if the player dribbles hard to the baseline, what is our concept that we're going to have the other players know? Well, we want a baseline drift pass. We want somebody to go to the baseline. So we have this pass option available. We'd like to have our player go right to the middle of the court, because now on a baseline drive, we think there's 2 basic areas here and here that we can make the pass to. So without actually telling the player, all right, you're going to make this drive and make this pass to the baseline, we may break that down in a drill, but now when we go to a 3-on-0 and then 3-on-3, they're going to have to figure out which one of these is available, where they're going to go with that. So as a coach, now we're giving them some ideas about how to make this concept work on baseline drives. Middle drive is the same way. Here comes a middle drive. We call this looping. We loop underneath the basket to get open, because who's going to stop this guy from driving? Well, this guy's going to be in a position to stop him. And now we loop him across. He's going to be wide open for a shot. And then we fill behind. We replace and fill behind. Those of you that have watched the NCAA tournament the last couple of years, Villanova won on a last-second shot with the same exact play, where the player penetrated, he kicked back, he hits a game winner from right here. So again, it wasn't a called set. It wasn't a called play. It was a concept that they work on continually, that Villanova works on continually in practice, that got that open shot. These are 2 examples, and you can really make up any type of for a better word, I call them sets, but I don't really like to call them sets, because I want the players to play out of, I don't want them to run a set. I want them to play out of a set, if that makes sense. I don't want them to think, all right, if I'm going to dribble penetrate here to the middle, my only option here is pass back. You may have a good shot right there. You may have a drop-off pass, or you may have a pass back. So we're giving the players, and then as a coach, when you coach this kind of action, you are letting them figure out what is the best in a 3-on-3 setting. So we have the same thing for high pick and roll. We run a lot of high pick and rolls with our team. Now we have a high pick and roll. We're coming off that pick and roll. We lift on the backside. We roll the basket. Now we got to make decisions. Hook pass right here, pocket pass right here. Again, those are skills, hook pass, pocket pass, that we may say, you know what, we're not very good at those skills, so we're going to have to practice those maybe after this high pick and roll. We say, all right, guys, we're going to set up a drill where we're going to practice this hook pass over here. So we're taking what we have in a setting, in a coaching setting, and now we're going to go back and drill it, as opposed to just drilling it for no reason. Pick and roll, the slot cut, same thing here. The slot cut right here, this prevents the nail defender from stunning. So we're coming off a screen and a slot screen right here. We got several options. And again, option might be to shoot it right there. So we have three different kind of things that we're looking at as a player. And I go back to the fact that when our players come in to us, you know, this is what we really give them so they can play out of these sets, not play exactly on the sets. Would I do this with some 7-year-olds? No, I would not do this with 7-year-olds. Would I do it with 12, 13, 14? Absolutely. I would maybe make it a simple one. I'd maybe make just these two to start with 13, 14-year-olds, and then maybe build up to it. All right, we do some high pick and rolls. Now we have a slot cut right here. We have the wave action here where now it's a little bit higher level. So we're almost into our advanced level now where we're going to wave this guy through, dribble handoff right here as well. So maybe we pass back to the coach and then we come through with this. And so we're getting a lot of action off of this, and then we're making reads to it. Catch and shoot again right here. Now we're working on a pin down, coming off that pin down, whether he does a curl cut, wing cut, whatever, slip the screen, looking for those situations. And then it's very important after pass. What do we do with it? We spread out. Sergio talked about spacing. Spacing really is an offense. So now players are learning, all right, I just can't make a pass and stand. What am I going to do? I'm going to have to space out. And you can put in, here's a baseline cross screen that we can put in too, where we're starting with the cross screen. So we put this into, and I know my time's about running out here, Sergio, but we put this into a situation where it's a 3-on-3 situation. And let me pull that up here. So now we put this in a 3-on-3 situation where now we're making the same exact concepts, and now we have to, from what the defense does, allows the offense to go ahead and read that. But it also puts a little bit of all right, how's the defense going to cover this? So it's both an offensive and a defensive type of situation with all these. And now we're learning how to play the game from this. And now we can build up to 4-on-4 with the same thing here, same situations, baseline drive, baseline drift, spacing type things. And then we can obviously build it into a 5-on-5 situation. So that's really our perception on how to develop concepts with younger players, 12, 13, 14. And as they get older, we add more stuff to it, and for them to kind of figure it out. Because now we throw a high pick and roll in there, and a player might ask me, well, what's going to be open on this? Well, as a coach, you can't tell him what's going to be open. They have to look at it and figure out what's going to be open. It might be a pocket pass right here to the guy rolling. It might be an open jump shot. Depends if they get over the top or not. This guy may sag in and help. It might be a hook pass right here for an open jump shot. So now we get the whole concept of how we're going to attack the type of defense that is on the court.